naps to us.
All right.
Hello! Welcome. Episode number 5 of we're a live show, and this still says Worlds. I'm a bad technician.
That's okay. We were so excited about it. We're just letting it continue over.
I'll change it, but you can bring us in. So, what's up?
All I want to talk about is Brandon and his ongoing support.
He
was here in like 5 seconds.
Love it. As soon as you saw that go live notification. Yes. So we're going to talk about what? I mean, this is kind of a loose topic, but Dynasty winners and losers.
Yeah, and not that we've explored every nook and cranny, but we did have 2 armories, 1 armory. I think we had two.
2 armories, 1 blitz, 1 CT.
To kick it off, I will say I think more and rather better than ever. We have seen a huge variety of characters being played. It wasn't everyone stacking 5. It wasn't everyone doing this. It was almost one of everybody. I think still really no Azalea, but I mean, I like, especially compared to most card games that I've played, it's just a huge spread of different play styles and everything.
Very similar to when Uprising released. Remember when Uprising released and there was like this like 2 to 3 week window of like the meta's fixed? Like everything was balanced and 5 felt like a fair aggro deck, and it wasn't figured out that like 5 should like Stubby Hammers was still not quite in CC. Like they had pre-banned it in Blitz, but it just felt like there was like people were still figuring out like the aggro decks, like at least like the maximum amount of damage they could run.
Yes, and I mean people were playing 5, but they didn't quite have the nuclear combos that were revealed later. I don't think people were playing Salt the Wound right when it launched. There weren't these just like one-hit kills.
No, Salt the Wound was one of those abilities or cards that was like thought about, but it wasn't really played like right at the start. But then like people figured it out, especially with like Salt the Wound into Give It Go Again somehow.
Right.
And then Break Mask, the Pouncing Lynx, and Salt the Wound again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeet the cat. So that being said, let's jump to Dynasty, I guess. Let's start with the Blitz event that you guys ran. So the Blitz event, that was the Dynasty release weekend. Dynasty release weekend was really interesting. I mean, we saw a whole bunch of decks that, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, I think, but then we saw a bunch of decks that in Blitz that you didn't expect to see. I don't remember exactly what our top 4 was, but I think it was 4 unique decks.
So top 4
or maybe it was 3.
It was Kano.
It was a cattail.
All right, Ness, we're gonna have to. No, who was it? It was I think Tom was on Kano. Why can't I remember like anyone else?
I was on Prism, but I didn't make top 4. I bubbled out at 5th. You.
I was.
You with Dory.
Yes, and not Prodigy, just classic vanilla Dory.
Yeah.
And then Alex was on Briar.
Yes, because someone thought Plunder Run being in the format was still fine. It's not, but
no, it absolutely isn't. And then Matt Pollitt as
Kasai, yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
4 unique
heroes. Yeah, that's right.
2 warriors. So 3 classes, 4 heroes. I think that's insane. I mean, that's awesome.
Yes, I will take that any day.
And then me bubbling out at 5th at Prism. So literally like everything.
So while we're talking about Prism, why don't you talk about your new...
My Chase.
She's an ally?
Yeah. So Soraya, I forget her full title, but her name is Soraya, and that card it deserves its legendary status. So where I think it kind of fills this hole that maybe they had already been planning for. So one of the things that I think they do for expansion sets, I think, is that they take cards that they wanted to put in the draft set, but for whatever reason, either it didn't fit, they had to cut space, or it was just not fair for a draft format. I think they're using that expansion slot or release to kind of push those cards out. So that being said, Soraya definitely feels like that card that's just way too good for drafts. Like if you draft that card, it's truly a bomb, which doesn't really exist in Flesh and Blood too much. But Soraya herself doesn't have Phantasm. She's a 2-cost invoke. So just like the dragons, you have to take a material. In this case, it's one of your shield tokens. Prismatic shield or no? Yeah, so it's one of your shield tokens. I can't remember the name of the token right now, but it's a shield token. You convert it into Soraya. She has Ward 4, which already is like, on like one hand, it's really easy to kill her because if you would take any damage, she's gonna blow up. On the other hand, a Ward 4 token, even if that was the only thing it did, is pretty good, especially if you already have some spectral shields. That's
I think
what it's called.
so.
Spectral
At the very
shields.
worst, she just soaks up a turn. Like she tanks a turn for you,
Right?
And that's not a horrible thing.
No, and it's great. And if you play her at the right time, where you have at least 2 or 3 spectral shields, you can use those spectral shields first before you get to Soraya. So they have to get through your hand block and your other spectral shields, so she can stay alive. And then anyway, she costs 2 to attack, which you may say, oh, that's kind of a downside. You know, the spectral shields attack for free, but sometimes you need to get something into your pitch. And if you block down to 1 card, it's kind of hard to get that 1 card in your pitch zone because there's no cost to pay. Well, she has a cost. It's 2 to attack, and it doesn't stop there. So she has 4 attack, and then she has an ability that says whenever you attack with her, you can banish a card from your soul, which, by the way, I love. I love the fact that they're playing with soul again because I don't think there's enough payoffs for soul. But anyway, you banish a card from your soul, deal an arcane to any target. Great, especially against other illusionists.
Yeah.
And then, on top of all that, she has essentially lifelink. So any damage that Soraya would deal, you gain that much. So that includes the arcane that you can ping and the 4 damage that you can swing into. And it doesn't have to hit a hero. It's just any damage that she deals. So if you swing into an ally, it's a 4 heal. If you ping an arcane onto anything, it's a 1 heal. And she's kind of hard to get off the board. There was a game where I was playing against Josue. He's on 5. I'm at 4. I swing in. He goes, no blocks. I'm like, okay, heal. I also did the arcane. So I heal 5 damage.
So it does like 1 wave of arcane and then the actual.
Yeah, so it's an attack trigger. So you attack, banish the card in soul. It attempts to deal 1 arcane. If that goes through, then you heal the damage, and then I swing. And so I go from 4 to 9. And in Blitz, that's massive. Right, that's like I'm back
it's like
up
25% of your life
and then I'm like, do you want to block differently? Because I don't know if he knew at the time like how it worked in terms of gaining life, and he's like, no, and he thought he could do more damage back to me.
That seems to be a common theme,
but it's a very common theme with illusionists in general. Like you'll go to 1 or 2 a lot of the time, and people will get greedy. They'll say like, oh, yeah, I can like. I don't have to worry about that aura. I don't have to worry about that angel. I don't have to block anymore. I just have to kill the wizard, even though you're an illusionist. Like, it's kind of like, we make that joke. It's like, kill the wizard. But they try to kill Prism, and they fall into that trap, and then you generate value.
I think there is a mental conflict for the aggressor, I'll say, where they go, but if I waste time taking care of all this side stuff, then like, I'm losing momentum. But 9 out of 10 times it seems like you should take care of the problem, like, you know, the side stuff when it comes to different auras. But it's a unique thing seeing someone have like a lifelink.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often. I don't know if we ever had a true lifelink yet. I don't know if there's anything that has had the effect that's like, for all the damage this deals, you heal that much. We've had other effects similar, but they've been tied to other effects. So the first one that comes to mind is Eradicate, where for however much damage this deals, you mill that many cards. So we've had kind of the X portion, like however much damage this deals, do X. But I don't think it's been on lifelink. And I think giving Prism more life, and she already blocks very well, and if you're attacking auras, that's damage that she soaks up in a way, like a sponge. And great. It's a great card. I wish I had it when I was playing Prism, like in Classic Constructed. But yeah, 2023, right? It's just to get that new light Illu.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can imagine the Dynasty hype dies down a little, people aren't ripping open boxes, and then they announce the new hero. Can you imagine like the panic that's going to come in with like people like, no, you need this card, to play it. And then, why didn't I open them before? And, so yeah, that card is a plus. A card I ran into, or rather Jamie forced me to run into during our game, was Buckle.
Okay.
He caught me off guard. He swung with it on when I didn't have good blocks. My gloves already had a -1 counter on it, and it just smashed my gloves. I was like, well, that's it. They're gone. I think it has Dominate. It's a blue. I think it comes in for 6. I have to check.
Buckle is pretty insane. It definitely is, yeah.
And it was a card, I think, leading up to the release. No one was like, oh, watch out for this. Like, Guardian's got another thing.
So,
but I think it's good.
You're not wrong in the fact that it wasn't, like, super hyped, but it was, like, out of all the cards Guardian got, it was like, oh, this one.
It
was like, oh, this is the good one.
Yes. I don't know if I'm missing any, but it seemed like it was one of the only attacks. Everything else was these weird conditional, like... there's the one where it's like if you're lower on health, you gain health. If you're missing cards, you draw a card. I forgot the name of that one. It's like a very defensive Guardian card.
It's like a last stand kind of thing. Yeah, you have to have like less equipment, less health, no cards in hand.
Yeah.
And then you play it, or it pops, and then you draw like a card, or draw 2 cards or something, gain a life, do something.
Yeah, and the rest of the cards were
Summon
like
Exodia.
Shield Bash and defensive this and defensive that. This was... another, I'm going to smash you with Dominate, and there's a repercussion of not blocking. But I remember we were all cracking boxes at the store, and all the Guardian players were like, Buckles? Did anyone get Buckles? And
there was a while where it was like everyone was looking for Buckle. It was like, oh, Buckle's the card. And then I would look it up on TCG Player, and it's like $3.
Yes,
but
yes.
like, I was like, oh, Buckle. Everyone wants Buckle. This must be the good card. Yeah, I mean, $3 is decent value for a non-foil Majestic, but nothing crazy. It is just another Terra Sunder, but the Terra Sunder doesn't have... Or the Terra Sunder has a lot of disruption, where this has, like... It's only really disruptive against decks that want to block with a card with Temper.
yeah.
So, but also get very good value out of that card.
Yep.
So the number one thing I think of is Dromai. So Dromai will try to block with the Flame Scale Furnace. And... This pretty much tells me that I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Because they have Buckle. And they already win that matchup, like, relatively handedly. I don't know. The only thing I think it really does is push damage. I think the most.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you need, like in Warrior, right? Like, Jamie was able to pop your Brave Forge Bracers.
No, that's not going to happen every time.
Well, and not just that, but, like, how much damage is your Brave Forge Bracers really worth in most games? How many times do you activate that card?
Oh, it's just like once or twice. It's like on occasion when you have an extra 1 resource but you're out of cards, so you do that.
Brave Forge Bracers was like the first card where people were like, oh, Flesh and Blood's too expensive. I need all these legendaries. And I was like, Brave Forge Bracers is quite literally better Iron Rot at the time.
Yeah,
like
I would say,
for like 95% of applications. It's
I would say you're paying about $50 for an extra life. Like, pretty much.
Well, now it's $50. But at the time, it was like $150.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. All the legendaries were like over 100 at a certain point.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. You're paying for more block and for the sweet art.
Oh yeah. No,
I love Brave Forge Bracers.
So yeah, Buckle was pretty good.
Hey, what about Dory? What did Dory get?
I was just thinking, Iron Song Pride, A+, put
S
3.
tier.
Put 3.
I remember having to convince you that this card was good at one point.
Yes.
Like, you were like, I don't know, it's a 1.
The hardest thing about it is going, what am I removing to stick this in? Because, as I imagine with any deck and any character, deck space is incredibly tight. But I have played and witnessed the snowball effect that this card encourages. It used to be the only way I'm getting counters is by hitting twice, or then they had Glistening Steel Blade. But even that is you're hitting to do it. Now you can, it's kind of like an attack reaction where you get an extra counter twice during Blitz. Once was on Jamie. The other one was against, I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't know. But turn 1, they go, it's their turn 1. They run out of action points, and you go, hold on. Let me do this real quick, and then your turn 1, You're swinging in for 4, which means they have to block with 2 cards, and that one extra thing is amazing.
Right. I think it's just. I think a lot of times. I think the biggest thing I had to tell you was like, how much better is your deck when it has a counter?
Oh no, it's
Like your deck it becomes a different deck almost. Like as soon as the Dawnblade has the first counter, you're wildly more intimidating as a deck.
Absolutely.
Like it's so crazy how much that +1 on the base. You're also the most efficient damage dealer in the game.
Yeah.
A 1 for 4 on a weapon to where you're not giving up any cards, and then if you get any more damage counters, but any more plus damage counters, you become wildly more efficient. And so you start getting to this math where there's like this equation of like the value of your hand, right? And the value includes like, so if you're blocking, there's still value in that, right? So they'll add up the block of your hand and the attack, how much attack damage you did that turn. That's kind of like your full turn value, right? Every counter is a free point of value in that equation. So you start doing this math where over the course of a game, like every turn with a counter is
no, it's amazing.
Crazy
especially what was it? You have that, and then when you mix in Glistening Steel Blade, there is a point I think where when you reach a certain threshold, you just feel like you're in control of the rest of the match.
Yeah.
And the other thing with the +1 is you're like a lot of people that day were asking me, so like how do you get rid of it? How do you do this? Does it end at the end of the turn? And I'm like,
Nope.
You have to block it. So there's
It's
no
the
more
same
like
effect as Dawnblade.
right.
Yeah.
And it's this thing, a scenario where you're just like, just pitch 1, swing it with Dawnblade, but they have to block it. If they do not get rid of this threat, you'll just keep snowballing, and it just gets worse and worse. So they have to deal with it somehow. And I feel like any card that says they have to deal with this is
Yeah, like against any like aggro deck that they're not gonna. You can't just put it this way. So Dory ramps so hard against decks that don't block, like usually way faster than they ever will. I mean, there are high rolly turns where a Briar can find an early Channel Mount Heroic, go off with like a Force of Nature turn, but that needs so many cards to go that way for that to like happen in like early game, right? You need those cards to line up in a very specific way. Dory just says, I need a go again card if you're not blocking me. A go again card is good enough, and then every other card is just a pump spell. Right? Like, so, like, that's what I'm saying is, like, she just snowballs so fast to any, like, greedy deck that wants to block.
yes.
And even then, sometimes they do block, and because they haven't blocked, it has a counter or two. Your Dawnblade, instead of being a 6 attack with a pump, is a 7 attack with a pump, which is, like, again, that math is just vastly different. And then they block, let's say 3 cards. They block for 9. And you just pump it again with a reaction.
Yes.
And now you get another counter. And it's just like it's off to the races at that point. It's,
Well, yeah. Because then you hear the question like, how am I supposed to deal with this? And
Yes.
you're like,
you
have to take care of it early or something.
Yeah,
like that.
you lost 2 turns ago. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it, but you actually kind of lost 2 turns
Well,
ago.
there's a pill that some players have to swallow, and that's once you get like 1 or 2 counters, you block with your hand. Like, you'll lose the turn, but
You just throw it at it.
yeah, then you do Twinning Blade. But that's besides
Yeah.
the point. Like,
You're like,
so yeah, awesome card.
Twin Blade.
Blessing of Steel, it's kind of cool. I feel like
I kind of like it, but I get it. It's a weird card. To
there's
play.
some turns where you have a bad turn or a bad hand, and you're like, okay, this will make my next turn just that much better. I think when we get the Axe Hero or whatever, I think there'll be a different warrior that can take advantage of like these giant swings, because that card almost guarantees that the Axe will overpower. Is that it?
Yeah.
I think it like really helps with that. The attack reaction, piercing. I forgot what it was.
Puncture.
Oh, puncture.
Yeah, puncture is really good.
Really
too, I
good.
think.
There were a couple of times against Chain where they blocked, and I just needed 1 over,
Yep.
and it got me there. It was like a 4.
So silly.
Yeah. Which normally you'd be like, that'll like when is that going to happen? But there are times where they
You'd
don't
be
have any other
surprised.
options.
I've also noticed there's a lot of times where you have 2 reactions in your hand when resource floating. It's either like an out for blood or a puncture.
Yes.
And you're like, well, if they block with armor, I can puncture, and if they don't, then I can out for blood.
Yeah.
And then I'll arsenal the other one. It's gross. Or I don't know. Sometimes you do both if you have the resources, but
Yeah. But that's why I mean you let them decide which route you're going, and
you almost give them like a no right answer situation.
yes,
Yeah,
correct.
They needed to again deal with it before they got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say, because I was just thinking about when I was playing Jamie, I don't think I really saw Runeblade get or use anything. Like, is Briar using any Dynasty cards that are Runeblade?
I mean, that's probably the one class where I'm thinking, like, Runeblade has not gotten a lot out of Dynasty that I think, at least the 2 Runeblades we have, I don't think we have anything that they're really going to play, like, at all. There's a couple, like, neat cards where I think it's, like, the Deadly Duet or something like that, Deathly Duet, something like that, where it's, like, if you pitch an attack action card, this gains a certain amount of damage, and if you pick a non-attack action card, it gets a bunch of rune chance. But it's just so weird that you have to give up 2 cards for that, and then you have to find value elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a lot of setup.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask for what feels like most of the time. Runeblade has been dominant for a while. It's a good thing they didn't get any busted support this set. Yeah, and I think it's really funny that a lot of Runeblades are kind of complaining like, oh, what do I want out of Dynasty? Not really anything. Well, it's like, 1, you don't know what Runeblades are coming. 2, I think the one where it looks like she's in the jungle or whatever, it's like it's a generic Runeblade card, but it's more of a Briar looking card.
Yes, it had like a Briar feel to it.
But it deals 1 arcane to anything. So that could be relevant in the future. Again, you could like pop an ally, you could try to sneak in an arcane. But yeah, we don't know what's coming down, and of course, yeah, right now I don't see anything changing in those decks. Except, actually, funny enough, it's not obvious, and it's not a Runeblade card, but I think Briar can legitimately use Crown of Dominion, like, effectively.
Okay.
So Crown of Dominion, of course, if you don't know, it makes you royal, and it gives you a gold token upon equipping it, which means basically the start of the game. So Briar, Runeblade in general has not really had the best use case out of their helmets. They're definitely not mandatory in any way. No helmet really feels like they either ran Arcanite Skullcap or they ran Crown of Providence. You know, very good generic helmets.
Yeah.
And sometimes they ran their in-class helmet.
The one with the little horn?
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it.
Crown of Dichotomy.
Oh, okay.
How I remember.
There you go.
Crown of Dichotomy. Crown of Dichotomy. James is beautiful.
Oh. I'll take it. Hold on. I'm thinking that's Josh. Is it Josh? And the crazy thing is, Josh is a Runeblade player. So.
Gotcha. But back to that.
Yeah,
So they weren't really like relying. It is Josh. They weren't really relying on their helmet. So they use Crown of Providence or Crown of Dominion, get the gold token, and then run a cash in or 2. And now they have like basically they're already running Tome, and now they have a Pot of Greed in their deck that if they hit is half an embodiment of lightning, and I think that's wild. I think that's so good that it's almost worth giving up the 2 block. I think.
So you're not wearing the tiara?
Oh, I think that thing's garbage.
I know, and I saw some players like trying to figure it out. They weren't like promoting it. They weren't like it's awesome, but they're like, you can do this, and I'm like,
it looks
I guess
great.
You can.
It's a great looking marvel, just like the axe.
Yes,
but there's a reason they're the 2 bottom marvels.
So real quick, I will say this: this Josh is the one who visited me and was like, "So this is Dorinthia. This is Flesh and Blood.
Oh,
this
Mazel Tov.
Yes,
thank you. You led to this. Whatever this is worth.
Yeah.
Whatever this is.
So yes, thank you. But yeah, I was just curious. I know a lot of people are chasing after the extended art Looming Doom. Is that what it's called? Or
Looming Doom, yeah. I think that card's okay. I actually think that might lead to you can do some weird things with Spellbound Creepers. You can keep the Looming Doom on the you can activate Looming Doom as an instant after the rune chants have already activated, and you get kind of double value out of your rune chants. And it does 2 damage every single turn for a while if you have a bunch of rune chants. the thing is, like, that's okay, but you have to get value. Like, the game has to last that long. And I don't think you really want the game to last that long.
Especially as a Rune Blade, I don't think you're stalling out for long games. I mean, it happens, but like...
But it is
typically.
damage.
Yeah.
It is damage to get through. And it's a guaranteed damage. It helps you keep your Spellbound Creepers because it's more arcane coming through, which keeps your Spellbound Creepers around. So it's an interesting card. I don't know if it's going to be slotted in. It is a blue, I think. So, I mean,
yes,
blues are usually your most flexible cards. You're typically not, because your reds are your money cards, right? They're the cards that you're going to get a lot of value out of. And your blues are usually you just want your blues to block for 3 and pitch for 3. And every once in a while I'll play them, but if they're good enough to play, why not? So maybe it finds a way in the deck.
Yeah. So next we'll go to Brute. I feel like they got a ton of cards. And
every card is like good.
Yeah.
In like some way.
Seems like that.
It's like
and I have watched some players playing on Talishar, and they're like, all right, like I've got this set up, watch this. And it's like double intimidate, 28 damage or something like that.
Right.
And the way they get all these bonuses and they have all these 6s that are consistent. I can't talk. I mean, I've never played Brute, so I can't talk too much about it, but it looks like they're just getting better and better. Like this was a good set for at least Rhinar. I don't know about
Levia, I don't think Levia got anything.
Okay.
Like honestly, like it's just, like, maybe the one where you discard and you gain a resource that could slot into Levia sometime. I don't know what their resource curves look like and if that's even been an issue for them in terms of getting resources. I think the issue for Levia has always just been the mechanic of blood debt. The Levia deck is actually very scary outside. Like if blood debt didn't exist, which I know like it does, but like let's say for argument's sake blood debt does not exist. Levia is like one of the best decks in the format. Like I truly believe that. The amount of damage that deck can do, the amount of block that deck can do, it gets access to Husk. I think it's just a very strong deck. The issue it has is you banish all these blood debt cards and eventually you're a ticking time bomb for yourself.
Right, I agree. I think there's been multiple games where I won because they died from blood debt, but it was while I'm blocking them out, I'm like, this needs to end soon. I can't just keep doing this. And
it's funny you say that because there's been so many games against Ryan, who is like our resident Brute player. He plays a lot of both Levia and Rhinar, and even Kaio if there's a Blitz weekend. But there's been times where he's playing Levia, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, like, this deck is the most unfair deck I've ever seen, honestly. And then, like, I'll look up, and he's like, good game.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
of course, yeah.
What? And he's like, oh, I didn't banish a 6 this turn, and I took 27 blood debt. All right, good game. I wasn't even paying attention. It's like, okay, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if Levia got anything. I hope, my hopes and dreams are that one day the expansion sets actually have talented cards. Maybe when we have enough of a hero pool to have like a vast array of talents that they support talents more than classes. Because right now, it truly feels like to me that like the expansion sets like almost like ignore talents.
Yeah,
we get a few. We got the dust for Dromai.
The necklace for
the necklace and Soraya. So we're getting a couple, but the vast majority of the cards feel like they're not for anything but the base heroes. Especially like look at all the warrior cards. Bolton's not going to play any of those cards ever.
Can you grab that for me real quick? I wanted to look up the necklace.
Yeah.
There's a text on it. No, I completely agree. Speaking of the necklace, it yes, yeah, and yeah. So Josh brought it up. We ran 2 matches, and he was like, "You use Dory." I think he was on Brute, which originally I thought intimidating made the opponent discard.
Oh, that
which
would
I was
be
like, "This is
wild."
Yeah, I'm like, "This is broken." And then like the next day, we dropped thousands on product. That's
if
when I know the
only
story.
that had happened.
No, I think about that every day.
4 months before it did.
Yeah, I imagine ordering like what was it, like 12 cases of alpha. And now, granted, I probably would have still opened it because I didn't know.
Yeah, but you would have alpha cards.
Right, I would have had a lot of that. And my Dory would have been
decked out.
All right,
Picked
I
out.
can't. I'm.
We're gonna keep talking about it. So all those cards.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
You should have
What's the name of the
believed
necklace?
from the beginning.
Does it specifically say Lumina Ascension?
Yes.
On that? Oh, okay, it does. Because I was like, what if everyone thinks this is for Bolton, but it's actually for like Light Dory that's coming out, and they're setting that up. But
Twinning bays.
Yes, those are still at 900 apiece. So
yeah.
Good luck on those.
I've been in the game since basically day one, and I don't have those, so I never saw one.
I'm assuming those were very hard to get.
They were basically on the level of like, what's a good alternate art that was like.
Like, is it more rare than like the Lumina Ascension extended art? Or I think that had an extended art.
So I think it's just about the same rarity, but if you were only looking at Lumina Ascension, so like not like getting a Majestic extended art.
Okay.
So like not getting like one of any, but like getting specifically one. Like if I wanted,
you'd probably have to open a lot of cases.
Yeah, if I wanted Herald of Erudition, specifically extended art, and I was just opening products for that, then I would say the EA Twinning Blades are probably on the same rarity as doing just that. Now, if you're getting any Majestic extended art, then...
Right, yeah. Do you have the Heralds?
No.
How much are those?
Last I checked, they were like...
Price check.
100?
Alright. Not...
Well, there's
not
no
retirement
There's no
territory.
Prism right now, so... I feel like now is the time to get these cards.
Absolutely.
Like, I really do actually kind of want them.
Herald Erudition, right?
Yeah.
Buck 40.
That's not that one.
But where are they all? Even aside
where's
from
the
that,
extended
someone
for?
buying them out? I don't know.
Are they not listed on TC? There we go.
Oh, there we go. What are we at? We're at a cool.
No listings.
The recent one sold for about 120. So all right.
It says there's 6 listings, but they won't let me clear the thing.
They don't want you to have them.
That's unfortunate. What in the world?
But
friggin' TCG player, man. What is going on with them?
But so where were we?
I don't know.
We went into that. We were talking about the necklace.
As low as 148
Okay.
is what I can see, but I can't actually see the card. So take that for what it's worth.
So in my experience, because I played against Nick Del Sol when he was on Bolton, he said the neck, you want it, like you're putting it in your deck, but it does not go, now Bolton's like bulldozing people. It makes it a little easier. He just didn't seem thrilled with it. Oh, and you have to get it.
So here's the one thing I will say. He was playing Saber combo.
Yes.
I think that that card definitely has rated in mind.
Okay.
Like definitely, you're not trying to Saber, because like the point I think of it when I see that card, it turns as soon as you have Lumina in hand, it turns any charge card into a go again. So because what happened before is like, let's say you were attacking with an Engulfing Light, right? And all you did was charge it. There's no other thing, and they just take it.
Okay.
You didn't buff the card. You didn't have. You can't banish using Bolton's effect because you have to have buffed. The card has to be attack higher than its base. So if they don't block with an attack to make it go up, and then you can give it go again, you can't give it go again. However, now if you have that necklace on the field, what happens is charge with a thing. They don't block. They say take it, and then you flash in.
Lumina?
You instant in Lumina. The Lumina has go again. You don't close the chain, and you swing Raiden twice. That's like a lot more damage that you didn't have access to in a prior turn, before that card existed. Now, what it also does is it allows you to play via the Vanguard going into Lumina, which you never used to be able to play before, because via the Vanguard wanted the combat chain open, right? So as soon as via the Vanguard was off the combat chain, which includes playing the Lumina, because you have to close the combat chain to play the Lumina. So you couldn't like combine the two, so now you have that option too.
Okay. Now I will say this: he still came in for 30.
Well, I mean, it's Saber combo.
Yeah.
That's where I think the necklace doesn't do anything for that deck.
Right. I think it makes it just a little more convenient if you're going that route. But
Yeah, it lets you view the Vanguard into it, which is cool, I guess.
But yeah, so some people were thinking it was just gonna like completely change the,
Right. And again, I think in Raiden, I think it's one of the strongest cards in the deck. I think in
well,
Saber
I'm interested
combo,
in
it's
seeing
not.
that now.
Yeah, we got to build some decks. We got to play on stream.
Yep.
Like, definitely. Get a stream going where it's just us talking and jamming games, hanging out.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm
Future.
all for that.
It's in the future. It's in the works.
Now, I haven't seen it played yet, but did you? I think you saw Alex play like Thundercats Katsu, like that whole thing, or not really? Or?
I have not seen it been played. I have seen the screenshots of like,
Oh, okay.
11 cats on the chain and salt the wound for 45 or whatever. So
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I think Katsu. The weird thing about Katsu, and I think we talked about this last week, but the weird thing about Katsu and Azalea is that I just feel like the cards they got are for a very specific playstyle, and if you're not trying to play that playstyle, you kind of didn't get anything.
Okay.
Like,
Well,
it's 4 aim counters. Well,
Yeah.
Azalea did get Heat Seeker, which doesn't care about aim counters, but every other card I believe does. So,
Mm-hmm.
eh.
All right.
It's all right.
I mean, you kind of have to pick and choose because it's like, no, I just want to be super aggro ninja. Then it's like, well, then play Fi.
Right.
At least you have that option. I mean, you can play aggro Katsu, but it's just like, I don't know.
Well, let's talk about not Dynasty. Let's talk about Shitty Christmas Present.
What is that?
So, Shitty Christmas Present allows me to say shitty in your store, which is really fun. Just
Quality content, ladies and gentlemen.
So, it is this month's Armory promo.
Yep.
It's very akin to the Christmas Bauble that we got last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's a promo. I believe it's a yellow, but that doesn't really matter, honestly.
Oh, actually, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but was the Christmas bauble? Did you even have a color? I don't remember.
Well, it's a bauble. It's always yellow.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
just a cracked bauble.
Oh, okay.
That's very Christmassy.
Oh, a cracked bauble. Right.
So, and it's kind of, it goes in shitty Xmas present. You get to give them the Christmas bauble on top of their deck. So
I'm with Evan on this. Should have been playable.
No.
Oh,
no.
yes. Merry Christmas. Here you go. Just lob it right on
I
my
think
deck.
it's a really fun card for UPF, and I also think it's a really fun card. Well, UPF if we ever play it, which I do want to play because
We're
love
starting
it.
soon. We are going to start soon at the
We'll even play it here.
Yes.
That'd be great to have like a game of UPF top down, kind of like Talarian Professor shuffle up and play style, where
Yeah.
it's like a top down gameplay. But so basically, it's an action card that says put a bauble on top of their deck, which is hilarious. And I think what's really funny to me is if you want to sandbag PVE when that comes out, and just all 4 players or 3 or 4 players just play it at once, and then the next hand that the boss draws is like.
That's cheating.
4 baubles. They can't block.
It's going to get banned in PvE. Watch. You broke it already.
I figured it out. And it's just really funny thinking of like, I don't know, because PvE, the way I think it's going to work is like, I don't know, Onyxia. And I'm just thinking like Onyxia drawing it like
She's
like covered in like
well, she looks like Azalea does on the
Jingle.
playmat, where she's just like, what the hell?
she's like covered in jingle bells. It's like...
And then we get 2 playmats. It's the same playmat.
It's the same art, which I do really like that art.
I like the playmat a lot.
I do like the art, so it's fun.
We didn't talk about Arachne at all.
Eh.
But all right. He just summed it up basically. It's fun. It's a very cool aesthetic. I think in the future when he gets cards that
You know what's kind
matter?
of weird? I just thought about. So because I was gonna say the mask and the boots are kind of evergreen and like you're almost always gonna play them, right? It feels like anyway that you're gonna play them in basically every assassin ever.
Yes.
What's weird about that is did they ever make an assassin that doesn't care or like in archetype, right? So they make a draconic assassin or something like that,
Okay.
and it doesn't make silver specifically, and those cards are worthless. I don't know about worthless. The boots are probably still playable, but like
Yeah.
they're not as good.
I mean, That's probably way down the line there. Like I
Yeah.
don't.
Or in the next set, who knows?
Oh my god.
I think we're going to the pits, so that would
Yeah,
make
I
sense. We
agree.
get an assassin.
Yeah, I think so too. Now the 3 characters on the playmat are Azalea, Lexi, and Arachne. That's what I was thinking of.
So
Arachne.
it's not Lexi.
It's not Lexi.
I'm
Oh no, because it's green hair.
yeah.
It's not like blue.
And it's not like flowy. Even her young art, she has like really flowy long hair. If you look at the card, it's an assassin attack reaction. Cut to the chase. So cut
It's
to the
her?
yeah, it's her.
Oh, okay.
So at least that's the prevailing. I'm gonna find it. So cut to the chase. Basically, it's an attack reaction in assassin, and it has like that very aqua colored. She has aqua color hair, and this is great content. But yeah, she has aqua color hair, and she looks pretty much the same as the girl in the Shooting Xmas Present card art. And I think Red Zone Rogue posted on Twitter, was like, "Hey Sam Yang, who did the art, is this Lexi or is it this person from Cut to the Chase?" And he just said like he just did the like monkey see no evil thing, and it's like, oh okay, yeah, obviously.
And if it was Lexi, I think he would have just been like, yes. Like I don't think they would have beat around that. I don't know, but it's interesting. That also made me think of the whole.
Yeah, it definitely looks like her.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously wearing a mask in this art. Ooh. She's obviously wearing a mask in this art. But like the hair and I think even the gear she's wearing is very reminiscent of that character more than Lexi. And it makes more sense, right? Everyone in that picture, outside of Dash, who Dash even still makes sense because Metrix is like the city that sits on top of the pits. So like everyone's from that area.
Yeah.
So I think it's really
seems good.
cool
Yeah,
to
seems
see
solid.
Arachne holding the reindeer mask.
Yes, but he looks pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, Arachne always looks pissed, but still, like the way it's right there. So there were some other theories going on, not directly tied to that.
Okay.
First, there's the big thing where it's like, that's not Dory, that's Shiano, or it's some other like shapeshifter because of the whole scar thing going on. In Iron Song Pride, it's Dory, but there's a giant scar going through the side of her head.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And
really?
and they're like, see, that can't be Dory because Dory doesn't have like a scar. And then there's the assassin on the Star City Games bundle mat, the red assassin card, and she has a giant scar on the side of her head. Now again, could be the artist's style or whatever, but like it's on the left side. Oh, it's not doing it. It's like right. Oh, you can't see it. Okay.
I don't know why my.
It's like on her left, from where we're looking, on her left eye, I think, there's a scar. So there was that theory where, like, there's a shapeshifter in Solana that's doing stuff.
Oh, I see the scar now. It's hard to see, but yeah, it's like this. It's like the scar that you can put in a lot of melee illusionist rogue. Rogue would be cool. I don't know about melee illusionist, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's referring to. Melee illusionist? Is that like the Shiana thing?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Well, Kayla will tell us. But but the whole other theory was, I haven't read all the Emperor lore and stuff like this, but it was something where like Shiana had like a tie with the Emperor, and they were like, maybe the Emperor didn't die. It's like Shiana as like a body double. So the Emperor could do stuff. And this is just random theories that I'm just like, you know what? This makes me just want to read the lore even more.
Absolutely. I think the lore has been really cool to go through so far. I do wish LSS, if you're ever watching this old episode, I don't know, if you're ever watching this
We're watching it right now.
Yeah. Can you make a lore tab on the website instead of having to like navigate like hero pages, the land pages? There's like lore like scattered everywhere. You have to like go find it.
Yeah, it's not the writing or the art or anything that I think makes it difficult for people to want to read it. It's just, where do I go to make it more condensed or easier to kind of go through?
Right.
I did finally read all of Dory's lore. I love it, but again, we did have to use like the I forgot the name of the website. I'm sorry, but like it did condense it. It made it a little easier.
Put it all in one spot.
Yeah,
so you could just read it. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
No, I really really enjoyed that. We did have, I think Ryan was on Assassin, wasn't he? for the
Yeah,
Blitz
for
event?
the Blitz event, he was on Assassin. I don't think he did great.
Well, it's just it was interesting seeing how everyone was like, nope, first week there's gonna be like a gazillion assassins, and we've had like two.
So I think there's
So-
two things at play when that comes into effect. One, the assassin cards are expensive, and whether or not the deck is good is yet to be proven. The Majestics, especially Surgical Extraction, I believe it's short printed, but whether or not that's the case, people are definitely treating it like it is. So it's $45 plus a copy. So you're looking at like a $130 playset for a Majestic,
Right, and-
that you will be pitching most of the time.
Yes,
but
agreed.
again, that's $130 in a Majestic. There's the $90 boots. There's even the helmet is $10 for the common.
Yeah, just
For
the normal version.
It's a Majestic,
yeah.
but
No,
I will do this
get
a
it.
lot. But anyone who doesn't know, if it's not foil, I'll just call it a common because it's easier for me.
But no, you made a good point with the Majestics because you want a playset of if you're playing Arachne, you definitely want a playset of all the
Right.
except for Payday. Payday's like
I don't know. I think it's worth it. But anyway, so that being said, even if not including Payday, so Surgical Extraction is like $45.
yeah.
Eradicate's probably like 15.
Yeah, it's between like 10 and 15. Yeah.
So if it's 15, that's another $45 you're dropping. Leave No Witnesses, another $45 you're dropping. And suddenly this deck, which honestly doesn't look very strong on the onset,
yeah.
is like one of the most expensive decks in Fab. Especially if you're running Tunic and you don't have that yet. The gloves you're running are probably Cracker Jacks or Iron Rot, but so whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a very expensive deck, and it reminds me of if this offends you, I'm sorry, cover your ears. But it reminds me of a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks where there's like casual decks, and funny enough, there's a YouTube channel I used to watch. He does like market watch videos and stuff. It's a House of Champs. If anyone, I don't think I've heard of that. I know Brandon will know as soon as I say that, but basically he does market watches and stuff. So you hear I'm offended, but anyway, he does market watches. But one of the things he says a lot is casual. I think it's not the word casual, but he basically says casual doesn't mean cheap.
Right.
Where it's like if it's a fan favorite deck, whether or not it's good almost doesn't matter. It's the fact that like the cards are shorted, people want them, and they want to play the fun new thing.
Yes.
And
yeah, I agree.
so yeah, like basically they're saying like even though it's probably going to be a casual deck at least on the onset, like out the gate, it's going to be expensive if you want to play that deck. Again, people are chasing those play sets. They want those cards. Every card is new. It's hard to get them. It feels like getting them out
Oh, it
of
absolutely
the
is.
one
Yes.
slot. Even if Eradicate and Leave No Witnesses is not short printed, it feels like you just get you definitely get less foils of their cards because
Yes.
I'm collecting a foil playset of common and rare cards, and it's just been way easier to complete every other class except for Assassin. So
Yeah, one thing I have definitely noticed, even if it's just our locals, but I've heard other locals have it too. Everybody, normally you're like, okay, I just need these common foils, and everyone's like, oh, I've got like plenty of those, and they throw it out to you. Everyone is going, I'm short 2 yellows of this, or I'm short this, and everyone's like, well, you better open more stuff because the store got pillaged. They're just we're completely out of assassin foils.
Yep.
I'm still missing some. I think like Nick and Andrew might be the only ones, but I bet you there's even a couple they're still missing. I don't know what the deal is with that. When you were talking about chase cards that aren't broken but still holding value, would you say like the Pokemon alt arts are kind of like that?
yes, I would say most of the Pokemon, well, actually almost all of them, right? Because even if they're very good, Pokemon has actually done a very good job, almost like LSS at this point. I mean, Pokemon was first at doing this, but giving you copies that this is for the players. So here's the cheap version. Here's the $4 in Pokemon. Here's the $4 GX or V that you need, or V Star or whatever. But here's the $150. Like you open it and you go blind from the light or whatever, and like it's hard to get, and it has the alternate art treatment, and it's very good. So
Okay.
yeah, I think they've done a very good job at doing that. And LSS has done a very good job at doing that. The one thing I'm a little afraid of in terms of LSS, what they're doing, I don't want cold foils to lose meaning. And it almost feels like they're giving cold foil treatment to a lot of cards.
Yes, there are a lot of them in this
Yeah,
set.
so, and they all look great. Don't get me wrong, I don't think cold foil will ever look bad. I mean, every cold foil, even if it's the worst card ever printed, I'm like, that looks insane. Like,
Yeah.
but it's become cold foil for a lot of cards in this set. It's become this weird middle ground in rarity. So take Soraya, my favorite card out of the set, hands down, love it. I love the art. I love the effect. I love the card. I want that card. I want the marble so bad. But like, if the card only came in rainbow and cold, that thing I just did where it's like, I want the marble so bad, just happened. I would be saying that about the cold foil. But now the cold foil,
because you want the
but
best.
now the cold foil is like,
well,
neat. Like,
right.
It's like, I'm like, oh, but it could have been the marble.
Well, that's kind of what happened, I think, because I pulled the cold foil, and I didn't. Well, I knew there was a marble, but I remember having it, and I was just like, I would have given it to you, but I'm like, but he doesn't like this. Doesn't have, like you said, it doesn't have quite the impact.
No,
because you know the full art exists, and I mean that's just how it is. Like,
yeah.
So.
It's unfortunate. Like, I really do wish. I don't know what I wish, because I love the marvel and I don't want cold foils to go away.
Mm-hmm. Well, it creates a weird scenario where you open a case and you got the cold foil version of a legend, and you're like, not good enough.
Right, and
I'll
that's
do better next time.
That almost doesn't feel good, and that goes true with the weapons too, to a lesser degree. So they're not legends, but now let's take Merciful Battle Line. Okay,
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be. Let's take a Nabi Blaster.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you have a common, you have a rainbow foil, and you have the marvel. It's like, it doesn't come in cold foil regularly, I don't think.
No, the marvel is like
is the cold foil.
Yeah.
But so the common and the rainbow foil, like where does the rainbow foil live? You know what I mean? Like, in terms of value. So like, does it?
Well, what you're seeing, especially in the market, is the original version. And this isn't like actual numbers or anything, but the original version will be like $5. The rainbow foil version's like 10
ish,
and then the marvel is like
100.
Yeah, it just skyrockets after that, and you're like,
which is like, okay, like, that's good. I want there to be like that. My point, I guess, is what I'm trying to make is like, it literally would have been fine if it was either just common or rainbow, and then the marvel. The thing that I'm worried about is they're going into so many alternate art treatments that it's like the number one thing that people were like mad at WotC for. Like, it's one of the things that they were mad at WotC for.
yes, and I don't want to accuse LSS of this, but I think sales-wise, it does make sense. It's an artificial way, or maybe not artificial way, to get people to keep cracking, get stores to keep ripping open products.
There's a lot more to chase now.
But that will get old. People, and especially in this day and age, people catch on very quickly, especially with what's going on right now with other card games.
And let me be clear, I'm not like accusing them of like trying to like
no, but I mean
of going down that path yet. It's just it's.
But I run a store.
Yeah.
You're well aware of how all this works. Like, you can, it's evident, especially with how hard it is to get this card. And it's not I got a Command and Conquer. Nick did. None of us have seen this angel. Like,
no, Marvel Soraya is probably, and nobody's seen in our group I'm pretty sure Marvel. I think actually maybe one person did pull one.
The Marvel Emperor?
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, I don't know who.
Maybe not.
I figured it would have been blown up on Discord if they did. But,
that's true. Maybe not. But so between Marvel Emperor and Marvel Soraya, we just haven't seen it. And
how many cases? I mean, that has to be at least like 50 plus cases between.
It's right around that, and especially
everyone?
if you include the stores cases.
Yeah. No, we didn't see one either. So.
I want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think on that, we can kind of just start kind of wrapping it up. I want to thank you guys for... We talk about, like... Last thing I want to talk about, actually. So, it goes back to the shitty Christmas present.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I really do... Whether or not you like shitty Xmas present as a card, I do like the idea that December's like the chill holiday. The chill month. Of like...
Yeah. No, I agree. And I've heard multiple reasons. some people may be like, bleh, whatever to this.
I won an armory and I didn't get a cool cold foil.
There are people who like the fact that there isn't a cold foil at stake. Everyone gets something. Everyone gets together to play.
I'm not pressured to go. We've been so not. If you're a competitive player, you have been so nonstop from like February of this year, to now. Between that and Worlds, you had 2 ProQuest seasons, 2 ProQuests, an RTN season, a Nationals. Countless armories.
I mean, I'll even count skirmish, even though that's not like hardcore or anything, but it's still
a skirmish season where if you're supporting your local store, you're going to. You have been nonstop almost every month with some kind of season or event, and it's nice to just be like December, spend some time with your family. If you can make it out to an armory, here's a promo for showing up. I'm sure your store is still giving out, pack price support.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole point, I think, is December. And this is something I think is really cool at LSS. And I think it's really cool in general between this, the People's Champion mat, and just the overall demeanor of the company. I think that's the reason we see so much people say the Flesh and Blood community is the best card community, hands down. Like, there's just no comparison. I mean, I've been a part of all of them at this point, and I really have seen that the Flesh and Blood community has been someone's new. This is like the case in points. I'll give you 2 stories. So
Two stories.
I was new to Magic at one point. It was during Dominaria. I saw the cards coming out.
Like old. This must be
2017, 18.
Oh,
there was a Dominaria set just called Dominaria.
Okay.
I was new to that. Fab community is the best. That community, I agree, 100%. So, I was new to Magic. And it was during Dominaria and like Kaladesh block and all that. Amonkhet block, which Amonkhet block, best block. I love it. So anyway, that was the most like hostile, like locals I've ever been to. Everyone was like offended that I was like reading their cards. Like I was slow playing. There was
because you're new, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There was I wasn't slow playing. They were saying I was slow playing
right.
by having like, hey, I haven't seen that card before. Like this is standard. We know every card in standard because it's not even that big of a card pool. I'm like, I have started playing 3 weeks ago. I learned how to tap a land 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So that being said, there was a card, and I'm sorry I don't remember what it was, but it was a black card and it was a flip card, and it basically said you could tap it and pay 2 life and draw a card or something.
Okay.
And I was doing that during my standby or my upkeep. Sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh. I was doing that during my upkeep phase, which I have learned since that there is no point to do that. You should wait till your main phase, see what your opponent does, then draw the cards or something like that. That's what people told me.
Okay.
And so, but this guy got like super offended that like he was like, I need to count the cards in your hand. I need to count the cards in your graveyard. Why do you have so many cards in your hand? I was like, I've been activating this card and I've been calling it out. And he's like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. He was like angry with me that I wasn't playing like the most optimal way to play a deck. And I almost quit that day. I was like, this isn't worth it. I don't. And it wasn't just him. It was like everyone but like one person was like very aggressive, very like, we're here to win. We're here to like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can be like cordial while you're doing it.
Yes, yeah.
Fast forward. Join Flesh and Blood. Any new player, I don't care who it is in our group, they are like, hey man, awesome coming out. What cards do you need? What decks are you interested in playing? We go to an armory. Someone says, hey, I'm new. They're like, okay, we'll play. And I will announce clearly all of my cards, tell you what they do, tell you any on-hit effects that are coming.
There is something I want to put in real quick because it ties in with all of this. We have had hold on. I can name 2 of them. We've had 3 new players, but 2 of them are from Magic, and during their first game, they were like, I'm apologizing because I don't want you to be really pissed off that I'm playing slow. And I'm like, dude, we got like 50 minutes. You can take all the time you want. And they're just like, no, like, I know you're saying that, but I'm like, go for it. Like, you can read the cards, do that. But they are already so apprehensive from, I guess, Magic that and I'm sure it's with other card games too, but they are expecting like the worst. And
it's so funny. I don't know if he'll ever admit it. I don't know if Matt Folks will ever watch this show or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Folks is a very good player. He was known, I think, as a bit of a rule shark. I don't know. Some things happened in Pro Tour 1. I don't really know the details, but it was like, but what I've seen like recently is he's like way more clear with his triggers and way more clear. And it just feels like Flesh and Blood is kind of like adjusting that like mentality just a little bit, even for these seasoned Magic players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it starts with LSS. And the reason I'm saying that is because between the Christmas thing where it's like, hey, if you want to come to an armory, it's for fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's to like get around. It's the whole point of Flesh and Blood is to get people together. And so it's like, hey, we want you to have that opportunity to come to the store with your mates and like hang out, have fun,
absolutely,
play some games, lose some games, win some games. Doesn't matter, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
They do that with the December Armory Kit. They do that with the People's Champions mat, where you cannot win them. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to win them via performance.
Right.
You're supposed to be like, hey, you are either new and you've been like such a good, like you've been wanting to learn and we really like that attitude, or you've been helping this new player come in and we really like that attitude. You're supposed to celebrate a good attitude.
Mm-hmm. And
the fact that they've done that since the jump, since they want people to like be a positive force in their community.
Yeah.
Like they're enforcing that and like promoting that and they're doing it. They're catching it with honey and not vinegar, if you know what I mean. Like here's a reward for being that person, not like a detriment to not being that person. I think that just shows that that's what they want. So, and we all, yeah. There's a reason we wear our backpacks on the front.
All right.
But we can move on from that.
Yeah, and by the way, shout outs to Mello and Christian, who just started playing at our locals. And they both said the same thing. They're like, it was my first day. I already have bulk from every single set because everybody was just like, here you go. Blah, blah, blah.
And sometimes even Majestic's like, hey, what class are you looking to play?
Yes.
And we will be honest. We'll be completely honest. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I was that way a little.
What's that?
Azalea and Kano. What draws new players to Wizard and Ranger specifically, I will probably never know.
I'm going to take a shot. Here, okay? Azalea, I think, and you've mentioned this, and Kayla has mentioned this.
I fall on the same pit.
I think in WoW, Hunter is like the most popular, or was at least.
Well,
at some
I
point.
love bows and arrows.
Yeah,
it's just,
I think it's a very
is.
popular
it's
thing.
Like, yeah.
I think Wizard catches people, and you probably know the Magic term for this. I think people go, what does no one play? And they go, Wizard, because it's so difficult. And the person goes, I'll be the Wizard that will, like, crack, I will be known as the Wizard in all of Central Florida. and then they play it, and they're like, hot damn, this is kind of tough.
I activated Kano and saw an eye, and then I lost. Or whatever.
So that's, I get that. But anyways, they said they've had a great time. Everything you were just saying. So looking forward to seeing them at locals and all that.
And if you guys are, anyone out there is watching this, or you're watching this on the VOD later, and you have a new player, be nice to that person. Welcome them to your community.
Yes.
And especially when you're playing that person in Armory, even though you're probably going to crush the crap out of them, because it's just one of those things where like Flesh and Blood has less variance. And so if by nature, if there's less variance, then typically the better player will win.
Yes.
Like, it's not like in Magic where you can, like, the better player, let's say the season, like, it could be like LSV, right? If LSV draws a 2-land hand, decides to keep and never sees another land, there's probably a good chance he's not winning that game. I don't care who he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, like, in Flesh and Blood, that just doesn't really happen super often. The better player, even with a bad hand, because you're refreshing your hand, seeing so many cards, you can usually get yourself, you can be like, oh, this is a blocking turn. This is an attacking turn. I'm setting up for next turn.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that we're not playing chess. It's closer to chess, though, than Magic is, with less variance. And so my point is, like, the better player will typically win. There's a long-winded way to say the better player will typically win, so it leads to new players losing much more often and getting kind of smashed much more often. But if you're clear with what's happening, and then afterwards, if your opponent asks you,
I was just gonna touch on that.
Yeah, if your opponent asks you, like, hey, is there something I could have done better? Go over the game with them. Maybe not say like oh yeah, you definitely could have. You don't never want to block with this or don't do that. But like you could like, hey, when I'm coming in with this, I'm kind of signaling that this or this might be coming. So this may be a blocking turn for you, and it's just gonna come with feel. That's feel. So
absolutely agree.
Feel
When I played Christian, obviously it was his very first game. Of course, I'm on Dory, which is kind of like
Dory just shreds new players
because he's like, oh, you're coming in for 3, so I will block for 3, and I'm like, okay, reprise. This happens to you, and he's like, so should I block? Should I not block? But that's not the point. The point is after the game, I'm like, so I encourage you to ask lots of questions during your matches as you encounter all these different classes because you're learning Dory, but when you go up against Brute, it is going to be way different. You're going to be intimidated, and they're going to have this thing and that thing. With other card games, I have found that when people lose, and I swear it sounds like I'm making it up, but they just go, well, you're playing like a bad deck. Or your deck isn't up to the quality is not quite, it's nowhere near what mine is. I feel like in Flesh and Blood, as you learn, it's kind of like, and I know you hate it, and you have good reason, but in WoW PvP, when you're in arena, you go, what am I playing up against? I'm a hunter, I'm playing against rogue. You have to pick the right talents for it. You have to, which is kind of like a side deck.
That's actually very true,
So as you play all the different characters, your skills kind of expand and you get more flexible. I don't play Magic, but I just don't see that watching people play. I don't see as much. It's like my deck does this. This is the win condition, and if I don't draw into it, like I don't win.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's way more fluid and it's way more interactive and all that good stuff. And it's just, I will say this: I've never taught someone Flesh and Blood, and they've said I don't like this. And so I think it's just a matter of being that welcoming community, and you'll hold on to those players.
I have taught. I think Matt and I have taught one player. It's happened once, but every turn they were blocking with their whole hand, and they're like, "I never get to do anything." And we're like, "Yeah, you have to like kind of take a hit occasionally. You can't just."
Yeah. So Brandon's saying
great.
I actually love playing against honest, respectful players, and there are way more people like that in the Fab community. Again, I don't want to like sit on this high and mighty horse of the Fab community. I will just say that like, I think we're a very good community, and I would like to see it stay that way.
Yeah, I just want to see it grow and
be positive, even when we become bigger than Magic. I said it.
Well, I mean, they have their Transformer promos, but
and I have a Marvel Soraya. I want. I'll take my Marvel Soraya over anything that comes out of a collector
over
pack
Megatron. Sure, I'm all for
anything.
But,
so take. I don't care what card it is. In Brothers War collector pack. I will take Marvel Soraya over anything that comes in that thing.
Well, just open collector packs of Brothers War and trade a serialized 001 of. Even talking about it, I'm just like,
serial cards. I hope that never comes with Flesh and Blood serialized cards.
No, because that's just another layer of chase. But
one of the card games we're interested in is bringing serialized cards. So
yes, it is.
Yes. They are numbered.
All
the collector rares. We're talking about Grand Archive right before we sign off.
Is it SCR or
CSR? I don't know.
Yeah, I got one.
Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a little over an hour of streaming. We have Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Yeah, which we do have to prep for.
I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of you, even if you're not in the U.S. Which if you're not in the U.S., that's awesome. Welcome. But happy holidays to everyone. We're going into the holiday season. We're probably gonna be pretty consistent going into December, but I think when we get closer to Christmas, we might take a week off closer. We'll just have to see how it lines up. But I just want to say thank you guys all for watching. If you haven't, I'm thankful for you guys. Well, thank you so much, Brandon. But again, if you haven't already, be sure to share the stream around. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps us out. We're a growing channel.
Yes, we are.
And we have a lot more coming.
Right. And then, like he said, we are very thankful. We're thankful for the game, LSS. We're thankful for the community, our locals. Thankful for the Haven, everyone who makes it what it is. And And yeah, we will be streaming next Wednesday. So
Yeah. Oh, and if you haven't already, check out thehaventabletop.com. That link has been shared in the chat by the bot, and it's on the screen. If you use promo code Team ACG, you save 10% on all Flesh and Blood singles. And there's a huge Black Friday sale coming up.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
I don't know what that entails exactly, but you have to check on Friday.
Yeah. Stop in, go online, whatever you got to do, but look forward to